The laughter echoed again in the courtroom, but this time, it didn't sound powerful, it sounded hollow and like something already breaking from the inside. "Come on, Judge, it's just a prank." Tyler's voice tried to hold on to that same careless arrogance. But something had shifted. Something invisible, something heavy, something that no one could ignore anymore. Because now, everyone in that room knew something he didn't just minutes ago. And that truth was sitting right behind him, watching, waiting, and slowly, destroying everything Tyler thought he knew about the world. The camera zoomed in slightly, capturing his face, still confident on the surface. But underneath, there were cracks. Tiny at first, but growing rapidly. The courtroom, once filled with murmurs and shifting bodies, had gone completely still. Even the air felt different, denser. As if every person present understood that they were witnessing something far bigger than a simple case of vandalism. This wasn't about broken property anymore. This was about a broken perspective. And the moment it would shatter completely was getting closer. Tyler shifted in his seat, wiping his hands on his hoodie. For the first time since walking in, he wasn't scrolling his phone, he wasn't smirking, he wasn't performing, he was thinking, and that, alone, was new. His eyes slowly drifted back toward his father. Marcus Chen stood there, not as the untouchable businessman Tyler had always known, but as a man carrying years of silence, years of truth, buried under pride, years of pain, hidden behind success, and now, that was all coming out. "Tyler," Marcus said quietly, his voice steady but heavy, "you think strength means never falling." A pause. "But real strength is surviving when you already have." The words didn't hit like an argument, they hit like realization. Tyler swallowed hard, his throat dry, his chest tight. "But you told me," he whispered, voice cracking. "You told me people choose that life." Marcus closed his eyes for a brief moment, and when he opened them again, they were filled with something far deeper than anger, regret. "I told you what I wanted you to believe," he said. "I didn't tell you what I went through." The room absorbed every word, no interruptions, no movement, just truth, unfolding. "I was hungry, Tyler," Marcus continued. "Not the kind of hunger you feel when dinner is late." His voice dropped. "The kind that makes your body weak, your thoughts slow, your hope disappear." Tyler's lips trembled. "I remember standing outside a restaurant," Marcus said, "smelling food I couldn't afford, watching people throw away more than I had eaten in 3 days." A long pause, and I told myself if I ever got out of that life, his voice tightened, I would never forget what it felt like to be invisible. Tyler looked down at his hands, the same hands that had destroyed food, mucked hunger, turned suffering into entertainment. "I forgot," Marcus whispered. That hit harder than anything else, not anger, not shouting, just 2 simple words. "I forgot." The courtroom felt it, because this wasn't just a father exposing his past, this was a man admitting his failure. "I built everything," Marcus said slowly. "Business. Reputation." He looked directly at Tyler. "But I failed to build you into someone who understands humanity." Tyler broke, completely, his shoulders collapsed, his breath came in uneven bursts. "I didn't know," he said again, weaker this time, like he was trying to convince himself. Marcus stepped closer. "But you should have understood," he replied, not harsh, not cruel, just honest. "You didn't need my story to show kindness." That line lingered, because it was true. Pain explains behavior, but it doesn't excuse cruelty. Judge Judy leaned forward slightly, her eyes fixed on Tyler, and when she spoke, her voice carried a different weight now, not just authority, purpose. "Mr. Chen," she said calmly, "do you understand what you've done?" Tyler nodded quickly, tears falling freely now. Yes, I do." But she didn't respond immediately, she let the silence stretch, because understanding isn't proven by words, it's proven by what comes after. "You didn't just destroy property," she continued. "You destroyed dignity." Each word landed with precision. "You didn't just mock people," a pause, "you dehumanized them." Tyler closed his eyes, every sentence felt heavier than the last. "And the worst part," she said, "you did it while the world applauded you." The courtroom shifted slightly because that part was uncomfortable. It wasn't just Tyler, it was everyone who watched, everyone who laughed, everyone who shared the video. Tyler shook his head, crying harder. I didn't realize." "Exactly," Judge Judy said. "You didn't think." Silence again, sharp, unforgiving. "But today," she added, "you will." Tyler slowly looked up, not with arrogance, not with defiance, but with fear, real fear. The kind that doesn't come from punishment, from truth. "Your father showed courage today," she continued. "He told you the truth he was afraid to say for years." Her tone softened slightly. "Now it's your turn to show courage." Tyler nodded, barely able to breathe. I promise, but promises are easy, is not, and the judge knew that. That's why her next words weren't emotional, they were final. 6 months, she said. The number echoed. Juvenile detention, no exceptions. Tyler didn't react immediately, he just blinked, processing. $50,000 in restitution, she continued. Earned, not given. His jaw tightened, not in anger, in acceptance. 500 hours of service. At the very shelter you destroyed. That one, hit differently. You will look into the eyes of the people you once mocked. A pause, and you will learn their names. Tyler's breathing slowed, because deep down, he knew, that would be the hardest part, not the detention, not the money, the people. Your online presence will be removed for 1 year, she added, and when you return. She leaned slightly forward, you will tell the truth. The room stayed silent, because this wasn't just a sentence, it was a transformation. Whether he wanted it, or not, Tyler wiped his face, nodding again. Yes, Your Honor. And for the first time, he meant every word he said. Marcus stepped forward, placing a hand gently on his son's shoulder, not to comfort him, but to ground him. This is where it starts, he said quietly. Tyler looked at him, really looked at him, not as a symbol of success, not as a perfect figure, but as a human being, someone who had suffered, fallen, survived, and now, was choosing honesty over image. I'm sorry, Tyler whispered. Marcus nodded. I know. A pause. But now you prove it. The camera captured everything, the tears, the silence, the shift, and within hours, video spread, millions of views, comments pouring in, some angry, some emotional, some reflective, but almost all of them saying the same thing. This wasn't just a courtroom moment, it was a wake-up call. But what happened next? Wasn't viral, it wasn't recorded. And that's what made it real. Because transformation doesn't happen in front of cameras, it happens in silence, in struggle, in moments no one sees. The detention center wasn't what Tyler expected. There were no followers there, no applause, no escape, just routine, structure, and time to think, time to sit with everything he had done, and for the first time in his life, no distraction, no phone, no validation, just reality. At night, he couldn't sleep, not because of fear, but because of memory. The video replayed in his mind, every laugh, every word, every moment he thought was funny. Now felt unbearable, and slowly, something changed, not overnight, not suddenly. But piece by piece, the arrogance faded, the excuses disappeared, and in their place, understanding began to grow. When he was released, he didn't walk out proud. He walked out quiet, focused, different, and when he stepped back into the Riverside shelter, place he once destroyed, he didn't see it the same way. He noticed things he had ignored before, the way people spoke to each other, the way staff treated everyone with respect, the way hope existed. Even in struggle, the first time he served food, his hands shook, because now, he understood what that food meant. It wasn't just a meal, it was survival. The first time he spoke to a resident, he didn't know what to say, but they spoke anyway, and what they shared changed him. Stories of loss, of illness, of circumstances beyond control. Stories that didn't fit his old belief, because they weren't about laziness. They were about life, unpredictable, unfair. Real. And slowly, Tyler started listening, not to respond, but to understand. Weeks turned into months, and something unexpected happened. He stayed. Even after his hours were complete, even after his sentence was over. Because this time, that wasn't punishment, it was purpose. He began helping rebuild what he had destroyed. Not just physically, but emotionally, apologizing, learning names, earning trust, and that took time. A lot of time. Marcus watched it all quietly, not interfering, not controlling, just observing. Because this was the growth he couldn't force before. It had to come from within, and it did. One day, Tyler stood in front of a group of students, no designer clothes, no attitude, no performance, just honesty. I used to think I was better than everyone, he said, and I was completely wrong. The room was silent, because people could feel it. This wasn't scripted, it was real. I didn't understand struggle, he continued. And when you don't understand something, a pause, you judge it. He looked down briefly, then back up. But judgment without understanding is ignorance. And that was the moment everything came full circle. Because the boy who once laughed in court was now teaching others not to, not through force, not through fear, but through truth. And sometimes, that's the only thing powerful enough to create real change, because at the end of it all, this wasn't just a story about punishment. It was a story about awakening, about perspective, about what happens when truth finally breaks through the image we build around ourselves. Tyler didn't just face consequences. He faced himself, and that is something far more difficult. Because once you see clearly, you can never go back to ignorance. And maybe that's the real lesson here, not that people change overnight, but that they can change when they finally understand. Because sometimes, most powerful thing in the world isn't success, it isn't money, it isn't status, it's truth, and the courage to face it.